I'm Sumi Somaskanda in Baltimore, and this is BBC World News America. The search for survivors will continue into the night after the collapse of a major Baltimore bridge that left 6 construction workers missing. The U.S. Supreme Court appears skeptical in a case to limit the use of abortion pills. And a Moscow court extends the detention of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich. Welcome to World News America. I'm Sumi Somaskanda. The U.S. Coast Guard says the search and rescue operation underway here in Baltimore, Maryland, will continue into the night. The dramatic rescue mission began after a container ship, the Dolly, struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge in the middle of the night, causing it to collapse. Officials say 6 people are still unaccounted for. All 6 of them are believed to have been part of a construction crew that was working on the bridge at the time of the collapse. 2 other people were pulled from the water, one of them hospitalized in critical condition. The Singapore-flagged cargo ship that you see here crashed into the bridge early Monday morning around 1:40 a.m. Eastern Time. Officials say the vessel lost propulsion and struck a supporting tower of the bridge at rapid speed. Multiple investigations have been launched today that are still in the very early stages. The chairwoman of the National Transportation Safety Board said investigators would look for the ship's recorders. Now, a little earlier, President Joe Biden praised first responders who reacted to a Mayday call from the ship's crew members, ensuring that more vehicles were stopped from crossing the bridge. Now, the bridge provided critical passage over the Patapsco River. An average of over 30,000 vehicles cross this bridge every single day, and 11.3 million every year. President Biden calling it one of the most important elements for the economy in the Northeast. Reaction has been pouring in all day from the state of Maryland and across the country as well. Maryland's Governor Wes Moore gave an update late this afternoon on the state of the emergency response. Questions have been raised over both the safety of the ship's operator as well as the infrastructure of the bridge. Governor Wes Moore saying the bridge was fully up to code and that there were no structural concerns. During what's believed to be the most recent federal inspection, the bridge scored a number characterized as being in fair condition. It passed inspection in May 2022, but our partners at CBS News report there was concern with one of the bridge's columns. The ship that crashed into the bridge early Monday suffered a power issue and issued a distress call just moments before the crash, officials say, but it was traveling too quickly to change course. With the NTSB investigation just getting underway, to learn more, BBC Verify's Rebecca Morrell has been looking at the sequence of events and how this massive bridge may have come down. Move on to another top story here in the U.S. today. Justices on the Supreme Court appearing skeptical of anti-abortion groups asking the court to restrict access to a widely used abortion pill. The nation's top court heard arguments related to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration's decision to loosen restrictions on mifepristone. Anti-abortion groups led by Aaron Hawley, senior counsel at the conservative Alliance Defending Freedom, argued that the drug is unsafe and that the government inappropriately expanded access to it over the last decade. Numerous studies have shown that mifepristone, first approved by the FDA in 2000, is safe. They also argued that its members, which include doctors, might suffer harm by having to treat patients who use mifepristone to end a pregnancy because it would be in opposition to their own religious beliefs. The Biden administration, led by Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar, argued that doctors could not show that the FDA's decisions directly harm them and that the ruling in favor of the anti-abortion group would severely disrupt the federal system for developing and approving drugs and inflict grave harm on women across the nation. Now, the Guttmacher Institute, which is a research organization that does support abortion rights, reported that there were approximately 642,700 medication abortions in 2023. That is about 63% of all abortions in the U.S., a 10% increase since the year 2020. So for more on the story, we can turn to Supreme Court reporter Amy Howe, who's joining us. Amy, very good to have you back on BBC News. Can you explain why some justices appeared skeptical of the anti-abortion arguments, including some of the justices appointed by Republican presidents? Okay. All right, Supreme Court reporter Amy Howell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, on Tuesday, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin called the situation in Gaza, quote, a humanitarian catastrophe, and issued some of his strongest comments on the Israel-Gaza war so far at a meeting with Israel's defense chief Yoav Gallant. Secretary Austin also said that it was, quote, a moral necessity and strategic imperative to protect Palestinian civilians. It comes as Israel said it struck more than 60 terror targets in Gaza, despite Monday's passage of a UN Security Council resolution demanding an immediate truce. The Israeli government has accused the U.S. of emboldening Hamas and hindering negotiations to release Israeli hostages by allowing the text to pass. Our Middle East correspondent Hugo Bachiga has more on today's developments. All right, back to our top story now here in Baltimore. Our partners at CBS News reporting a law enforcement source said FBI divers and on rescue and recovery boats they're on rescue and recovery boats. They're using robotic cameras to search for victims. The source said that they are not able to confirm whether one or more of the divers are in the water or if it is too dangerous with the jagged debris that is in the water. Let's speak now to Maryland Senator Ben Cardin for this story. Senator, very good to have you on World News America. Thank you for joining us on a day of tragedy, of course, here in your state. You know, the mayor who was speaking earlier said these scenes look like they're from an action movie. I mean, what do you make of what you've seen today? All right, Maryland Senator Ben Cardin joining us on, as we said, what is a tragic day for Baltimore and for the state of Maryland, of course. Thank you so much for joining us on BBC News.
Thank you.
Now, a Russian court extended the detention of Evan Gershkovich, an American reporter for The Wall Street Journal, by 3 months as he awaits trial. Mr. Gershkovich was arrested on espionage charges nearly a year ago while on a reporting trip, making him the first Western journalist to face espionage charges since the fall of the Soviet Union. BBC's Russia editor Steve Rosenberg has more. Thank you for watching World News America. You can get all the latest developments on the bridge collapse here in Baltimore on our website, bbc.com/news. I'm Sumi Somaskanda in Baltimore. Stay with us.
Thanks for joining me. The weather's looking fairly cool and unsettled